and welcome back to yet another smartphone camera comparison. Hey, I'm Olive, your host here at Versus.com, and in today's battle, we've got the Samsung Galaxy A25, Xiaomi's Redmi Note 13, and the CMF Phone 1 by Nothing. Which one of these will be crowned king today? Let's find out. But smartphones aren't just about their cameras, therefore we will also be reviewing other important areas such as their performance, design, display, battery life, and even pricing. Before we get into an in-depth photo and video comparison, I'd like to thank Redmi VPN for sponsoring this video. Now, let's briefly take a look at each device's camera specs. The Xiaomi Redmi 13 has a 108 megapixel wide lens along with a 8 megapixel ultra wide lens and a 16 megapixel front cam. It can digitally zoom 10 times for photos and 6 times for videos. Unfortunately, it is only able to shoot up to 1080p, and when it comes to stabilization, it only has the option for standard stabilization. Moving on to the Galaxy A25, it is equipped with a 50 megapixel wide lens and a 8 megapixel ultra wide lens. Its front camera can shoot up to 13 megapixels and it can digitally zoom in 10 times both for photos and videos. It is also able to shoot 4K video and has standard stabilization as well as super steady mode when shooting in 1080p. Finally, we have the CMF Phone 1, which also has a 50 megapixel wide lens. However, it does not have an ultra wide lens. Its front cam can shoot up to 16 megapixels, same as the Redmi 13. It can also digitally zoom in 2 times for both photos and videos, and it can shoot video up to 4K with the option for standard stabilization and action mode, but only when shooting in 1080p. As always, we'll start off with standard wide photos as we feel that's the mode people use most frequently. In the first example, all the results appear decent with no device significantly outperforming the others. Each image has a slight blur and minimal variations in color and exposure. In the next set of images, Samsung delivers the most authentic looking result with excellent color accuracy. The Nothing phone also produces a decent photo with a warmer tone, while Xiaomi's image, although not terrible, appears somewhat washed out, especially when it comes to skin tones. What's unique about the Redmi 13 is its ability to shoot in up to 108 megapixels. We took several photos to assess if this feature offers a real advantage. While we won't award points for this extra feature exclusive to the Redmi 13, we wanted to showcase its capabilities. The results are impressive with sharp details and accurate colors. However, this mode doesn't stand out significantly as the differences aren't substantial compared to the other devices. Now let's move on to some ultra-wide shots, which are really great for capturing more of the scenery in your photo. As we already know, the Nothing phone doesn't have an ultra-wide lens, so for this comparison, we've included a standard wide image from the CMF Phone 1. Naturally, it won't receive any points in this category. Between the other two devices, it's clear that although not perfect, Xiaomi's image is clearer and sharper, whereas the Galaxy's result is quite blurry. The A25 also shows harsh shadows across my face, which just isn't ideal. Xiaomi continues to exhibit better color accuracy with well-balanced contrast and exposure. Samsung has done an okay job with slightly warmer tones. However, the image looks generally washed out and a bit dull. Let's pause for a moment and briefly talk about safety. A VPN keeps you safe online by turning your information into secret code and hiding your computer's location. This means no one can see what websites you visit or find out where you are. If that sounds like something you'd find useful, then you'll want to hear this next part. Redmi VPN is one of the fastest offshore VPNs with 24/7 support and cross-platform access. Enjoy 10 GB speeds across 2,300 servers globally. You can also navigate the web with a trusted ally, SmartGuard, proactively guarding against malware, tracking, ads, and phishing threats in real time. Plus, they don't store logs, ensuring your actions remain yours. Best part, you can start for free. Click the link in the description to secure your online freedom with Redmi VPN. Simple, secure, and yours. Let's capture some photos in portrait mode and see which one of these has the most realistic bokeh and the best and most accurate edge detection. This was a tough one. All the images look quite different. Unfortunately, the Nothing Phone struggled with edge detection and exposure. Between the Galaxy and Xiaomi, it really does come down to personal preference. The Galaxy offers a stronger bokeh effect, which is usually preferred in portrait mode, while Xiaomi provides a smoother appearance and more realistic edge detection. As always, we conducted a blind test on our community page and social media, asking you to vote for your favorite photo without knowing the brand. The winner with the most votes for this portrait photo was the Galaxy A25. The Nothing Phone's edge detection failed again as part of the painting behind me remains in focus. Both the Galaxy and Xiaomi had minor errors with edge detection visible at the end of my ponytail. Other than that, both images were decent, with one being warmer and the other cooler. In the end, it really does come down to personal preference, and yours was Samsung, followed by the Nothing Phone, and lastly, Xiaomi. Video quality is super crucial when deciding which smartphone you want to go for, so let's record some footage and compare. Xiaomi's Redmi 13 is limited to shooting in up to 1080p, so naturally its video quality isn't as impressive as the other two devices. Choosing between the Nothing Phone and Samsung is challenging. The CMF Phone 1 appears much smoother, whereas the Galaxy has produced a very sharp video with high clarity, which may appear somewhat artificial, though some of you may prefer this look. Samsung's video also maintains nice exposure, whereas the Nothing Phone struggles to maintain consistent exposure throughout. As mentioned earlier, the CMF Phone 1 lacks an ultra-wide lens, so we have recorded a standard wide video for this comparison. It's a close call between Samsung and Xiaomi, as their results look quite similar. Both phones can only shoot up to 1080p with the ultra-wide lens, and the main difference lies in the A25's slightly better handling of exposure and saturation levels. So we've come to one of my favorite categories, stabilization. Stabilization is so crucial in order to get the smoothest videos possible. So I'm gonna go for a little walk, then I'm gonna go for a little run, and let's test these bad boys out. In our first test, we walked with all the devices using only standard stabilization. Honestly, none of them exhibited great stabilization, as there is noticeable shake on all devices, with the Galaxy showing the most movement. Not ideal. Let's see if there's improvement in our second test. For this round, we activated active mode on the Nothing Phone and super steady on the Galaxy. Unfortunately, the Redmi 13 lacks additional stabilization, which definitely becomes quite apparent when compared to the other two devices. Even with active stabilization enabled, the results aren't very smooth. The Nothing Phone particularly struggles despite being in active mode, showing intense shake back and forth. Time to test out the front cameras and see which one of these makes me look the best. So let's take some selfies, and while I'm at it, I'm also gonna test out front camera video and audio. Oh dear, Xiaomi really isn't doing justice to my appearance. Just look at how off my skin tone appears. On the other hand, the Nothing Phone saturates quite heavily, but it does give me a nicer glow and highlights my features well. Samsung's performance is decent, but it gives my appearance a slightly washed out feel. Additionally, it has over-sharpened the image, resulting in harsh skin texture. In the second image, I moved indoors to see if there would be any difference, and I must say the results were quite similar. Xiaomi continues to give me a pasty look, while the Nothing Phone boosts saturation, with the Galaxy falling somewhere in between. However, the Galaxy still appears over-sharpened, leading to patchy skin texture. Finally, I took a selfie in low-light conditions, and all the devices struggled somewhat. However, the Nothing Phone impressed. Though slightly warm, it's the only device that managed to deliver sharp results. Samsung's image showed considerable amount of noise and lacked sharpness, but it still maintained more accurate skin tones compared to Xiaomi. Moving on to front camera video, this was a tough one. None of the videos looked particularly great, with exposure levels and focus constantly fluctuating. The Galaxy seems to have the best color accuracy and makes my skin tone appear the most realistic. Xiaomi's video feels dull and washed out, while the Nothing Phone falls somewhere in the middle. So starting with the audio coming from the Galaxy A25, what do we think? How do I sound? I'm on a little bit of a busy road, so let's see how the devices can handle that. Moving on to the Redmi 13. Is it any better than the Galaxy? What do we think? Ooh, loud motorbike. How's it handling that? And finally, we have the CMF Phone 1. How is this one sounding? Any better than the others? Let's talk about it. Samsung is known for its excellent noise cancellation abilities, and even in budget phones, this feature stands out, which is quite impressive. The Nothing phone also performs well, ensuring clear audio, but unfortunately with the Redmi 13, there seems to be almost no noise cancellation, and although I am audible, the surrounding noise is very distracting. So here's a very loved category, zoom. Let's test out these zoom capabilities on all of these devices and see which one can give us the most detail. Let's begin by examining the 2x zoom. Xiaomi stands out as the most detailed with the most realistic and accurate colors. Choosing between the Nothing phone and the Galaxy is a little challenging as neither is perfect. The Galaxy appears over-sharpened with very high clarity and excessive saturation, whereas the Nothing phone's contrast is slightly low, resulting in a somewhat washed-out appearance. Despite this, I still believe it has captured a better photo overall. Only Samsung and Xiaomi can shoot in up to 10 times, so for comparison purposes, we digitally cropped into the 2x zoom image from the Nothing phone. Xiaomi remains the most detailed and authentic looking. However, I must admit that digitally cropping into the Nothing phone's image looks much better than actually zooming in with the A25. Time to capture some macro photos. These are always pretty exciting, and it's interesting to see how much detail the devices can actually bring out in the photo. Unfortunately, the CMF Phone 1 lacks a macro lens, and as a result, when attempting to shoot the same image, it completely fails to detect the subject at such a close distance, resulting in a fully blurred photo. Xiaomi demonstrates better color accuracy since the rose was red, however the Galaxy's image is significantly sharper and therefore overall better. Moving on to the next set of images, it appears that Xiaomi has a slightly sharper result than the Galaxy. The difference isn't substantial, but it largely depends on the lighting conditions and how steady your hand is when capturing the photo. It took a few attempts, so it wasn't an easy image to capture. Finally, let's take a look at a few low-light examples to see how each device performs under those conditions. Starting with a standard wide example, it's immediately evident that the Nothing phone delivers the best outcome. The photo exhibits no noise and is well lit enough to ensure visibility of the subject while maintaining a low light ambience. Samsung's image is slightly overexposed with a hint of noise, whereas the Redmi 13 has noticeably more noise. In ultra-wide photos, the Nothing phone cannot participate, but we didn't want to exclude it, so here's a wide comparison for you. Between the Galaxy and Xiaomi, it's clear which image is better. Although not flawless, Samsung's image shows better dynamic range and retains the low-light atmosphere well. In portrait mode, Samsung stands out with the best results due to smooth edge detection, appropriate warmth, and an overall pleasing photo with nice bokeh. Regarding the other two images, it really boils down to personal preference. Some may prefer Xiaomi's warmer tones and deep contrast, while others might favor the lower contrast of the Nothing phone with its paler skin tones. Moving on to videos, in this first example, unfortunately, Xiaomi struggles to keep up with the other devices, especially since it can only shoot up to 1080p, which proves challenging in low-light conditions. Samsung offers a wider frame and delivers the clearest video with minimal noise and consistent exposure throughout. Although the Nothing phone's video appears authentic, it does suffer from noticeable noise and inconsistent exposure fluctuations, which can be really annoying. In ultra-wide videos, once again, the Nothing phone is disqualified due to the lack of an ultra-wide lens. However, in my opinion, neither of the other phones produces satisfactory results. Both videos exhibit excessive noise and are, in my view, unusable. Alright, let's do a quick summary and see who the winners are when it comes to the camera. Our scoring system is based on order of importance, therefore in categories such as wide, ultra-wide, portrait, and videos, we have a maximum of 3 points possible, whereas in less important categories such as zoom and audio, the points given are less. For standard photos, the winner is Samsung. Next we have ultra-wide photos where Xiaomi actually takes first place. In portrait mode, it's a tie between Samsung and Xiaomi. In videos using the back cameras, the Galaxy takes the win. When it comes to stabilization, it's a tie between the Nothing phone and Samsung. For front camera photos and videos, the Nothing phone takes the win. But when it comes to audio, the Galaxy takes the win due to its impeccable noise cancellation abilities. Xiaomi wins wins the zoom category. Samsung and Xiaomi tie in first place in macro photos, and finally, Samsung also comes in first place in the low light category. And that means that our overall winner is in fact the Samsung Galaxy A25. So that was just some shots we captured, and don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. But phones aren't just about their cameras, as general performance matters too. So let's take a closer look at how each device operates. The Redmi 13 operates on the Snapdragon 685 chipset, the Galaxy A25 operates on the Exynos 1280 chipset, and the CMF Phone 1 operates on the MediaTek Dimensity 7300 chipset. The options for storage are the following on each device. Redmi 13 offers 128GB of internal storage with either 6 or 8GB of RAM, or 256GB of internal storage with 8GB of RAM. The Galaxy A25 offers either 128GB with 6GB or 256GB with 8GB of internal storage and RAM. And finally, the CMF Phone 1 offers 128GB of internal storage with either 6 or 8GB of RAM. Of course, we also tested out some benchmarks to really see how the performance has developed, and the results were the following. The CMF Phone 1 performed the strongest in all of the tests, with Xiaomi and the Galaxy having weaker performances. But let's go through the test results for each app and check out the outcomes. Starting with Geekbench 6 in single core, the highest score was 1024 coming from the CMF Phone 1, with the lowest being 469 coming from the Galaxy. In multi-core, the highest score was 2912, once again coming from the CMF Phone 1, with the lowest 1543 coming from the Galaxy. Moving on to 3D Mark, here the highest score 853 remains from the CMF Phone 1, and the lowest score was actually from Xiaomi with only 137. Finally, in Antutu, the highest score was over 600,000 from the CMF Phone 1, with the lowest being under 300,000 from the Redmi 13. For more detailed comparisons of these three phones, be sure to visit our website versus.com, where you can find additional information. Let's talk about the displays. The Redmi 13 boasts a 6.67-inch AMOLED display with 1080 by 2400 resolution and a PPI density of 395. The Galaxy A25 has a 6.5-inch FHD Plus Super AMOLED display with 1080 by 2340 resolution and a PPI density of 396. Moving on to the CMF Phone 1, it has a 6.67-inch Super AMOLED LTPS display with a 1080 by 2400 resolution and a PPI density of 395. They all have an adaptive 120Hz refresh rate, which is a standard on most smartphones these days. The Redmi 13 has Corning Gorilla Glass 3, while the A25 has Corning Gorilla Glass 5, and the CMF Phone 1 features AGC Dragon Trail Pro glass protection. This type of glass offers durability and scratch resistance, but it is generally considered to be slightly less robust compared to Corning's Gorilla Glass. The CMF Phone 1 is the only one that supports HDR10+, however, although the Galaxy doesn't, it can decode HDR10 and HLG. In terms of brightness, the Xiaomi's peak is at 1800 nits, the Galaxy at 1000 nits, and the CMF Phone 1 at 2000 nits. When you're choosing a smartphone, design does matter, so let's take a closer look at each device and what it has to offer. The Xiaomi Redmi 13 has a sleek, modern design with a slim shape and smooth edges that makes it easy to hold. It has a shiny back available in several bright colors such as mint green, ice blue, and midnight black. The material does easily smudge though, so keep that in mind. The front features a large display, and the camera module is placed in a way that looks really aesthetic, giving the phone a balanced look. On the side, you've got your power on and off button, which doubles as a voice assistant, and above that sits the volume button. Finally, you also have microphones on the top and bottom of the device, as well as a headphone jack on the top and a USB-C port, a SIM slot, and a speaker on the bottom. Overall, the Redmi 13 is both stylish and practical, making it attractive and easy to use. The Galaxy A25 has a similar feel to the Redmi, only slightly thicker. The back features a matte design, which does catch a slight glow under certain lighting conditions. It comes in 4 different colors. You have blue, light blue, and yellow. Smudges can be seen, but they're not super obvious, at least not on the yellow color that we have. The triple camera module is placed symmetrically on the back to match Samsung's signature look. On the right-hand side, you have your power on and off button, as well as the volume button, and on the left-hand side, you have your SIM card slot. Microphones are present both on the top and bottom of the device, and you can also find a headphone jack along with a USB-C port and a speaker on the bottom. When it comes to the display, the bezels are relatively big, which does slightly reduce the screen size. However, it's more than okay for everyday use. Finally, we have the CMF Phone 1, which has a pretty unique design. Starting with the back, you have a matte finish, which not only looks nice, but it also doesn't show fingerprints. The back cover is also completely removable, and you can replace it with any of the other colors offered, such as orange, blue, or light blue. There are tiny screws around the back and a small knob that you can twist off and instantly change your design. This knob is also a mounting attaching point for some accessories. You can replace it with one of 3 different accessories. First one is a kickstand, which lets you prop up your phone on a flat surface. There's a magnetic card holder wallet, and there's a lanyard, which may be convenient for some. On the right side, you have your on and off power button, which doubles as a voice assistant, and on the left side sits the volume button. You have microphones on both the top and bottom of the phone, and you also have a SIM card slot, a USB-C port, and a speaker on the bottom of the device. Now let's talk about battery life, as that's a crucial step when deciding which device to go for. All of the phones have a 5000 mAh battery. The Redmi 13 and the CMF Phone 1 both also have a 33-watt fast charge, while the Galaxy A25 has a 25-watt fast charge. The CMF Phone 1 also has a cable-based 5-watt reverse charging option. Finally, let's have a quick look over the prices for each one of these devices. Xiaomi's Redmi Note 13 is at a current asking price of $183.99. The Samsung Galaxy A25 is between $183 to $225 depending on the color and storage capacity. And finally, the CMF Phone 1 is between $199 to $269 depending on the storage capacity. So that pretty much sums up these 3 different phones when battled against each other. When considering which product to buy, your decision should be based on your priorities. If capturing photos and videos is your top priority, we suggest avoiding Xiaomi's Redmi 13 as it's unable to capture videos in 4K, which is a bit of a bummer, but it does have a macro lens and an ultra-wide lens, which the CMF Phone 1 does not. However, the Nothing phone's performance is the strongest, so if that's an important factor for you, then it's worth considering it. It also has a pretty cool and innovative design, which is a bonus. We hope you found this review useful, and we would love to hear your thoughts. Which one would you choose? Definitely make sure to let us know in the comments below. Direct links to all of the devices mentioned in this video can be found in the description below, and as always, make sure to give this video a big like if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to join our Versus community if you aren't already, so be sure to subscribe. With that being said, we will see you in the next video, and until then, take care.